It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 111. Planet of Evil.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, Toby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS would be free of the force field.
Well, the TARDIS is more than a machine, Stephen. It's like a person, you see.
Resulting reaction, destroyed. Are you ready?
All right. Welcome back to the old Doctor. Right. Oh, you have like an effect behind you, so your back is blurred out. I guess that's normal. I guess that's normal for Dan. This is the old Doctor Who show. This is the tri-weekly classic Doctor Who review podcast that you have met your loved one while listening to and conceived your first child. But the child was evil. And now the child has lured you to a mountaintop where you have to escape. Dan, how are you this 3 weeks? 3 weeks of us. 3 weeks of Us, my favorite show. The Story of Us. Dan.
I'm just going to let you hang yourself here. It's more fun just to watch you vamp and just come up with whatever
sometimes
ridiculousness.
When you vamp, sometimes when you vamp, you get yourself a tramp stamp. Right? Is that right? Is that how it works? Are you watching The Circle season 2?
That's the saying.
It's not good. I saw The Circle season 1, also not good, and I'm watching The Circle season 2, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but I am. So, what's your take, Dan?
I skipped both seasons because I knew that it was going to be bad and not a show for me.
It's not for anyone. Yeah.
No, I think there are very specific people that is for, but I am not one of them. I did watch all of Shadow and Bone on Netflix. That was okay.
Okay.
I read some of the book that it's based on, because it didn't really bring me in that much. But it's, hey, if we're talking about, I don't know, we're talking about something that's more closely related. It's not sci-fi. It's definitely fantasy, but it feels a little bit closer to our topic at hand than The Circle does. Do you want to just maybe talk about?
There's nothing redeeming about The Circle.
No.
It's just like watching Road Rules or Real World 30 years. It's the same sort of nonsense.
Yeah. Except
there's more self-hatred. Yeah, after you watch it, you feel more like if you already had a sort of a baseline foundation of self-hatred.
And if you don't, I don't want to know you.
Additional bath. Yeah. It's like taking a bath and hating yourself. But speaking of taking a bath and what?
I was going to say, did you see any of the Real World very first season 1 reunion that they aired?
I didn't, and I remember reading about it because of something with Becky, and Becky got in a fight with Kevin. I can still remember,
guys,
right,
again.
Or something. That's what I had seen, but I had not seen. I did not see.
No, I saw one episode. Just one episode of it, just to see like what they were up to, and they're all pretty much the same. But that was a show that was like I was what, a sophomore in high school when it came out, and I loved that show. That was revolutionary, groundbreaking, and then I didn't know at the time that was the beginning of our decline.
The beginning of the end. The decline of Western civilization.
Yeah. I don't know. Is any of this interesting? Probably
no,
not. Let's
none
talk
of it's
about Doctor
interesting.
Who
But
instead.
what is interesting is at the top of the show, I got to let you know that you can pre-order Goblin, the fantasy graphic novel middle grade book from me and Will Perkins by going to realmofgoblin.com. We got a new trailer up there. It's a brand new trailer, Dan. You can watch that trailer. You could download a role-playing game if you're a Dungeons & Dragons fan. You can look at a teaser video. There's all the stuffs on there, the pre-order links. That's fine. So that's something that I got to throw out there. I on Twitter if you follow me at eGrissom, if I get to 1,000 followers, I will randomly pick someone and send them a copy of the book. And I should be getting my copies next week. So it's exciting to finally see it in the flesh. Right? Yeah. And I'm only at 914 followers. And I know I see the stats. We have more than that in listeners. So maybe we can add some of you that maybe not. You could set up get a burner Twitter account. I don't care. Throw me up there. Get me into the 1,000 club. I'll get the satin jacket. I'll get the trip to Good Time Island they do once a year. It'll be great. Go to the Fire Festival. Yeah. So that's it. Plug done.
Yay!
Speaking of the show stats, I would like to announce, I think I told you this, but we are officially more popular in the UK than the US. It's happened.
That does not surprise me.
According to iTunes stats. So I don't see Spotify or wherever else you're listening to, but for the longest time we had more US listeners than UK listeners, and the tables have turned, Dan. We are now slightly higher on the UK than we are in the US, and it feels right. It feels right.
Yeah, no, it seems...
That's always how I
prefer
thought it would go.
I don't know. I mean, I love our U.S. listeners, but if they wanted to show us more love, by telling their friends, getting them to listen to this ridiculousness that we've done 110 times before this one, that'd be awesome. Yeah. That'd be great. Because what you get from that is this type of witty banter at the top of the show.
We don't have a Patreon. You don't have to pay for this. You can just tune in for free every 3 weeks, hear me stumble and feel uncomfortable selling a book I slaved over for 3 years. You could hear Dan talk about some TV show. You could hear about how, for some reason, I watch shows that nobody should be watching.
They are not for you.
Not for me. You get all of that.
You get all of that for free. On all the Dune news that you need. I mean, for free. That's a bonus. I mean, that's on top of everything else we do. So...
Yeah. And speaking of things that we do, one of the things we're known for is reviewing classic Doctor Who review episodes, such as Planet of Evil. So, Dan, if you have nothing else to add in our pre-show, I think we should get into the Planet of Evil, because I have some things to say about the Planet of Evil. Dan?
Wait, which one are we doing?
Oh, shit.
Oh, the Planet of Evil.
Right. Yes, Planet of Evil.
Okay, let's find that button.
Hand of Evil Doom Planet.
Into it. Ready?
What? You didn't hit it yet. Charlie Daniels Band.
So still in the solar system.
Edgar Winters in the trees.
But what particular star provides the light and energy?
Wherever we are, we're a long way out.
I wonder what happened here.
Well, this is clearly the base for some kind of scientific expedition. Possibly geological. Something went wrong, and they sent out a distress signal.
And died before help arrived.
Yes, something like that. A lost expedition.
So, what are we going to do?
So, let's go back to the TARDIS and fetch my spectral mixer. And I'll fix our position by that star. And I'll repair this power cell and try and make contact.
Well, you can get on with that now. I'll fetch a spectral mixer.
Good idea. Would you do that?
Why not? I know the way.
Good thinking. What are you waiting for?
The key.
All right, this is Planet of Evil, Dan. This is the second serial from the 13th season, lucky number 13, of the science fiction television series Doctor Who. I'm not reading this word for word from Wikipedia.
Science fiction.
Yes,
series.
This was came to us all the way back in 1975, and for me marks the golden era of the television show.
Because that was your birth year?
Yeah. An intergalactic group of Federation. They're not from Earth. I forget where they're from. But they are exploring a planet on the farthest edges of the known universe, where they have found a spice that is on the planet that they're trying to mine to get that energy. But things aren't going well for the colony. Our doctor friend and Sarah Jane, they find themselves answering a distress call, and they find that not only is this the edge of the universe, this is the edge of reality. and we are at the crossroads between the world and the anti-world. Dan, what did you think of the classic Doctor Who story, Planet of Evil? Planet of Evil.
I didn't watch it, so...
Dan, evil's a bit of a judgment call on this. I wouldn't say the planet was necessarily evil, but we'll get to that. Dan, what did you think of Planet of Evil?
I'm a moral relativist, so I don't really consider it to be evil. It's acting within its own self-interest, which all creatures do. I like this one, but it's mostly because I like Tom and Liz in this. This pairing, obviously classic. Your classic peanut butter and chocolate situation here. I'm not going to say.
Now, when you say Liz, you're Liz saying Sladen Elizabeth Sladen
and Tom Baker.
Her Liz, not to be confused with Eastbur Liz.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're right. I should have said the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane. I knew what I really meant to say, but
I knew what you meant, Dan.
In this one, it's really for me all about Sarah Jane. She has, God, I love her so much. I just love her so much. But she has so many small moments that are so well executed. I mean, to the point of tears in her eyes over some of the silly things that are going on. But she plays it so heartfelt and emotional and scared throughout this. The terror that she has, being held at gunpoint, an invisible set of enemies ransacking, killing people, ransacking a ship. Fear for the Doctor's life as he jumps down into a bottomless pit into an unknown anti-universe. She's fantastic. I think Tom Baker is wonderful, probably near the height of his portrayal of the Doctor. But for me, it's all about her. On top of that, the production design was beautiful. That planet is insane. The jungly production design for the sets, it almost looked like intestines and entrails coming out of the trees. It was really almost had this sick body horror sort of feel to it. For me, anyway, the enemies seemed incredibly well done with the energy being that effect seems pretty straightforward, but done very well. It was just a lot of fun, and then you have crazy cast of characters, all with their own sort of heightened drama and insanity taking over. It was just a lot of fun. That said, I don't think it would be near the top of my list. It kind of felt, pretty straightforward, in and out, and I'd probably forget it within a couple of hours. So that's me. That's my own head injury that's to blame for that. Eric, tell me how much you agree with me.
I don't agree with you at all.
No?
This is near the top of my list. If I had a list of favorite Doctor Who stories, this would certainly make it, Dan. I think there's nothing that didn't work about the entire 4 episodes. I thought it was perfect. I thought this is like pure joy for me. Like within the first 30 seconds of the episode 1, I was like, just hook it to my veins. Like I would just take this, if you could just reduce this Doctor Who era down to just crystals and then make them into a smoking cocktail and put that dumb hat with the two drinks instead of cans of beer,
straws,
it would be whatever this guy was making, and just I'll take it all in. No, I thought it was wonderful. I thought the costumes were great, like the weird velour, with the open neck thing. Whatever.
They were space pajamas. They were space pajamas with soft bumpers on them, so that when you have your cuddle puddle, no one gets injured. But
it was like they put effort into it. Like it was very wonderful, and the set design was amazing, and the smoke and the way that they did the jungle area when the very first episode when the guy's like, we got to get out of here because the sun's going down or whatever. All of that was great. I thought the models of the ships were very cool. Like if I was a little kid, I would want to have a spaceship of that ship that they're flying in.
Sure.
I thought that was awesome. Sarah Jane, Elizabeth Sladen, is completely perfect in every way. The outfit was adorable. Her all of her little moments, like when she's like, let's just let these guys kill each other, and she's like waving the TARDIS keys, like let's take off, was funny. Like she does a lot of like great takes. She's like the one talking about like escaping because the magnet windows or whatever, I can't even remember, but she's so good. I thought the cast was great. I thought the guy that played Sorensen was really good. As the scientist guy that was just like getting overrun by this antimatter. I thought the evil commander that looked like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, I thought he was good. I thought the direction was great, like the foreboding shot, like pull in to the pit of like this of antimatter. Like when you first see that pit, you don't know what it is yet. And there's like a lot of single point perspective shots too that are very interesting. Like when they close all of the doors, it's got an alien feel to it, which I love, like especially at the end when the creature or the Sorensen becomes like the antimatter before he's tripped out and becomes multiple, like when you see the radar screen and you know where they're coming from and they're trying to close doors. It felt very much like an alien movie.
Very alien.
The episodes flew by. I feel like it's a little short, right? So I think each episode is probably about 24 minutes. So I never had any fatigue, and I watched them pretty much all together, one after the other.
Back to back.
Like the first episode felt like it was over in like 10 minutes. And that was just usually a sign that I'm really into the episode. I just thought it was great. I loved all of it, and it's got all like the tripped out 70s thing, like when the doctor goes into the other dimension or the other reality and he's tripping out, or when the Sorensen gets hit with that, I forget what it is, matter multiplier or whatever, and he's like tripping out like Jimmy Page when he's like in the Song Remains the Same, when he's got the bow and he's what I'm talking about.
And he's turning into a werewolf at that point for some reason, but
Thank God the guys had bad shots too, because the doctor gets away a few times from people that literally can't hit.
Can't shoot straight.
I loved it. I thought it was great, and everybody felt very good. Like even the old guy, whose name I forget, who becomes I mean, a lot of it is like clearly from the beginning. You're like, oh, this guy is gonna, the good guy. This guy is the bad. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's like, okay, yeah, we've seen this before. But that old guy was great, and he had like a lot of really good chemistry with Sarah Jane or Elizabeth Slade. She is just so good. Like when you watch how good Tom Baker is, and how good she is, and how good they are together. It's like that for me, whether it's nostalgia or not. I'm going to say it's not nostalgia. It's just good everything.
No,
it's like this run of Who. In the episode before this we had done, which I can't remember. Was it Terror of the Zygons or something?
Terror of the Zygons, yep.
And then after this is Pyramids of Mars. So like all of this
is a great
is just
era,
wonderful. So I loved it. I'm surprised it's sort of middle list to you. But this was
here's the
perfect.
Thing.
I thought it was perfect.
I don't disagree with anything you said. And I agree with all of that, actually. For some reason, for me, it just... I said I wouldn't put it in my top of my list because everything about it is perfect. I do it well. I mean, for the most part, as perfect as this, as the show can get. I think all the parts are very strong, but it doesn't, for me, add up to a memorable whole. Like there are moments that I will recall. I love the fighting, Tom Baker diving into the pit.
What about the extra that the soldier who opens episode 2 by getting killed, and he works his death like I wanted to just stop the show and hand him an Emmy or whatever you would get, a BAFTA, I guess, for that. Like he works that scene. It's the most dramatic death. I imagine that's going to be a gift. But that was you know what? You don't have any lines, but God damn it, you earned your place here in this among the stars.
There were a few of them. There's one, I think,
jumpsuits
in episode 3 or 4, when they're like on the bridge of the ship and they're closing all the doors to keep the monsters out, and the controller has gone crazy. He's like, I'm the controller, I'm taking strong action. Just completely shoots a guy, and the guy does like a spin flip backwards and like hits the set behind him. Like, commitment to the part is fantastic. But my point, my point, like all of these things are true. It is all, but it just, even some stories where there are faults in it make it more endearing. Some stories where there's just things that are completely, I also like the stories that have more of the mythos, the arc going through them. So those become ones that are more top of mind for me. There was nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't. I don't think it's one that would necessarily stick with me. We'll see. I mean, I just watched it. So the newer ones are the ones that always like kind of become prominent in my mind, and trying to go back and think about the 110 other ones that we reviewed. Could I pick them out of a lineup? Probably not. Maybe this one I could, but I liked everything about it, but it doesn't. I don't know.
Well, I will add. I want to add
it,
to
though.
Right. I want to add to something you said, or whatever. Something you said is similar to something I thought while watching it, and it has to do with New Who and mythologies and all of that stuff. Yeah. I like that in these shows, nobody knows like what a Time Lord is. It's like they don't know who the Doctor is, and he can't just say, "Oh, I'm from Gallifrey," or "I'm a Time Lord," or whatever. I love that feeling that nobody knows who he is. So it's like he does. It's not like now. I feel like the Time Lords are so. All the mystery is gone. It seems like every civilization knows what they are and whatever, and like. I miss
and
that.
Even for us, even for us as people watching it, they've defined so much of it, especially in the most recent season of New Who. All the mysteries. I mean, you can add on to the mythology and answer some questions, and it'll pose new ones. But like the continuing thread of like, who is this guy? Where is he from? And as they're building the mythology around the universe and character that they're creating. That is, I think what you're saying is like that's much more exciting and thrilling because anything can happen. And you don't have
and I like the fact that
preconceptions.
when they interact with other cultures or empires or whatever, the Empire doesn't have any kind of idea of what a Time Lord is or what all that stuff is. And that was what I liked about this. They don't know who they are. They don't know that Sarah Jane's even an Earthling because they take the oxygen out in that one scene.
Oh, I did like that. Yeah.
I liked all of the like shooting the coffins into space, and I thought one of the best lines. In this was when they're getting rid of one of the guys that gets killed. I think it's the first guy that gets killed on the ship, and he's like, "What religious denomination is he?" And they say something, and then he's got to like by procedure play like whatever the song is for that religion, but he lowers the volume in the room, and he's like, "Just because I have to play it doesn't mean we have to hear it." And it was like this weird line where he's just sort of doing it, and the guy's coffin's being shot into space. But clearly he's got such disdain for this person's religion, or maybe religion in general. I thought that was a funny line. It didn't need to be in there, but the fact that they added that I thought was funny.
No, that's great.
It was good. I just really liked. I thought the glowing eye effect was very good.
Was
too.
really well done.
And I felt like that actor that played Sorensen really sold it as like he looked like this was like a cocaine metaphor too, where he's just trying to hold his life together and he's just getting wrecked on he's riding that white tiger down Nightmare Alley, and he's just like sweating, and he's in that suit and then like a track suit, and it's like you could honestly just take him and put him into like that the scene
into
in
Wall Street
Goodfellas when Ray Liotta's driving around, running from helicopters. It was great. I don't know. I was all in.
That guy was great. I think. I mean, towards the end when it does get a little camp at the end. I mean, the fact that he looks like a full on teenage werewolf.
Yes,
costume.
Yeah.
That was a little bit beyond. But
and it is interesting to figure out like what is happening, right? So he's been exposed to this antimatter. I think they call it antimatter. That is now merged with his cells, and the doctor says like he's reverting to like a primitive state or something. But like, why?
Why a wolf? Don't know.
I don't know. But it was cool, like to see like just the little.
No, it was more like the Hanna-Barbera Captain Caveman.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he's descended from.
That's what he was turning into.
From Captain Caveman.
And then he was going to get that big club.
Yeah.
And then the front of the club would open and a bird would come out. Is that something? But like the thread of story that's in there that like, okay, these rocks, whatever the rocks were, the mineral.
Yeah.
Within it let the doctor survive within the pit of uncertainty, whatever.
The negative verse.
The negative zone. When he goes into the negative zone. And it let him survive there. And then within our world, it actually lets this guy survive here because he's using it to make his vaccine. Was cool because it sort of it has like a logic to it. And the fact that they're like repelled by this thing because he's walking around with the
well, I mean, that seems, maybe I missed something, but that seems so strange to me. Yeah, maybe I just didn't follow that exactly, but so they find this what looks to be a big dark pool of water in the jungle. It's actually the connecting point between the edge of our universe and the anti-universe, right? No light escapes out of it, etc. The doctor jumps in there with his pocket full of crystals in that tin.
He just jumps in there with his Spin Doctors CD. What if you went down there and the guy's just like, it's like the lead singer of the Spin Doctors just like patting his chest or whatever with his hands dancing around?
It was a missed opportunity, honestly. Yeah. But so he does that, and so that's how he encounters the, I guess, one of the creatures or a manifestation of the creature, whatever it is, and survives because he has that on him. And then when he's in our world, like you're saying, he's that also when the creatures are on the ship and the doctor's trying to make his way through it, he's waving the canister of it, and that keeps them away. But it's also keeping them from leaving because the creatures won't let them leave the planet with it. Like, I wasn't quite following how it all worked together.
It's some kind of balance.
It seemed weird that it was this repulsive thing to protect him. When he started doing that, I didn't follow how he knew that would work or the logic of why it would.
If
anything, it seemed to me like it would track them. They
glossed over that. He immediately knew that it would work because he takes a handful of it, sticks it in this little tin. But they're repulsed by it. But they're just trying to kill everyone to bring the ship back down.
In order to get it.
Why that is, I don't know. But at least it makes sense in the fact that he was using it in the pit, and then this guy's using it in this world to keep himself alive. But
I don't need.
There is a positive negative repulsion thing going on between this antimatter and this whatever that stuff is, and the fact that it changes colors. Like there's like a lot of stuff with that maybe isn't defined, but I find that much more interesting when it is ambiguous than if they had said exactly what this stuff means.
I was going to say, I don't need a unifying theory of all of it. It's just a weird thing. I didn't quite know why it worked or how the doctor knew that it was going to work. Usually there's at least a throwaway line where he's just like, oh, because of the blah, 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 they're reversing the polarity and blah, but there wasn't even that. But that's fine. It was great. What'd you think? What'd you think of the introduction of the oculoid?
Oh, that was cool. The drone.
Wasn't that great?
The drone thing? Yeah, so that was very cool.
They open up the ship, the ship opens up, and then this thing comes out, and it has a big eyeball in the middle of it. Loved it. The eyes start looking back and forth. But then it becomes this flying drone, which I think was great. And it was done to good effect, I think, the way that it was filmed. For part of it, as you see the drone flying over the jungle trying to find the Doctor and Sarah, and it's kind of there in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can see it panning across. It was very effective. Even then, showing the point of view of it, the video effect that they did, so it was all in red and grainy and whatever, it looked great. They did a lot of work like that added up to bring the production of the value of this up a notch, I think. Again, I'm saying all these things about how much I liked it, and I didn't put it in the top. I wouldn't put it in the top of my list.
The effects and the design of the set design, and the little things like that drone were awesome. Everything looked cool. Nothing looked, even the creature whatever that effect was. That was kind of cool. Especially,
I loved it.
Nothing stood out as being because sometimes you see some of this stuff and you're like, oh boy.
This wasn't that.
This was all good.
That was definitely a green screen or chroma key effect with piping around the edges to make it look like lines, and that could have been horribly executed. And in fact, we've seen so many bad executions of chroma key green screen stuff. This was executed beautifully. In complex shots too, where it could really go wrong and just didn't. There was another thing that I thought was this. I don't recall ever seeing this before. Could absolutely be wrong. Probably am wrong. But the cliffhanger at the end of episode 2. This is when the Doctor is.
Is this when they're getting ejected?
No, this is when the doctor's
falling in the pit,
into the pit.
Yep.
There's actually a freeze frame. Like, we don't ever see that. He's in mid-fall, and it freezes, and then that's the end of the episode, cliffhanger. It doesn't usually do that. It's usually a little, I don't know. It was just strange. It caught my eye that we don't usually see cliffhangers where it's caught mid-frame like that. There's no relevance to this. I just wanted to call it out. It was strange. It was just strange.
It's good. Yeah, I can't remember if we've seen that before or don't see it. It did not strike me as odd, but now that I think about it, can't remember when they did that before.
There's a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe they're... I'm trying to think of Legopolis. Isn't there a cliffhanger?
I'm sure there are other ones.
Falls,
it's just...
like the Tom Baker fall. I can't remember. Maybe that's not true.
Anyway, it struck me as unusual. Yeah, from the very beginning, though, there's so much death in this story.
Yeah, a lot of people die.
I noticed that within the first 6 minutes, there were 2 deaths already that we knew of, that we actually saw. But actually, before that, the rest of the crew had died, so we didn't even see that. But yeah, crew members getting shot all over the place by other crew members, or getting taken over by alien presence. Yeah.
Speaking of death, and in a notebook you would write, I don't understand why the people get freeze dried.
Or some of them did, because in the beginning we see like a guy disappear and never come back. But then the second guy we see,
I think they all come
like
back.
A desiccated
Don't they all
husk.
reappear?
There was one outside
husks? Except for the one guy that falls into the pit, and he never gets saved.
There's that guy.
Sorensen gets saved, but no one else.
I felt like there was one that we didn't see at the very beginning, because it was like they just disappeared. And then, so in the very beginning we see like a guy get attacked. Oh, okay. Maybe I
because they go back and they find a bunch of bodies on the way.
Maybe I thought it was 2 different.
But why are they?
Sets of bodies.
It's like taking their essence. And Sarah Jane talks about how she feels it, but she doesn't get freeze dried.
Can we just stop right there, though?
Yeah.
Like the first moment when they come out into the jungle, and within minutes, Sarah has that encounter and freezes, and her eyes get all big. I think you took a still of that.
That was when I was like, I'm in love with this show.
Totally. But like that moment, and her hands being outstretched, and she's in that panic. And I was literally worried for her in the beginning. Yeah. Like, I actually wrote my notes, no Sarah Jane, because it happened instantaneously. I was also worried it was going to be one of those things where she gets taken over and she's the baddie, and I didn't really want to have that kind of story.
Yeah, and I'm glad
that's why I was a little bit like, no. But she played it beautifully, and like coming out of it, and like I felt like my mind went away and I wasn't in control of my body. And you see that in all of the actors, like in the beginning when they get attacked by an invisible force and their like bodies go rigid, and they all kind of do the same sort of like, they all clearly have an idea in their head of what's happening, a same idea in their head of what's happening. It's really effective.
A lot of extreme close-ups in this particular story that are used well.
Yeah. But
yeah, some people feel it, but why wasn't she freeze dried? Was it an exposure? Right. If she had been there longer, why is Sorensen become a merged anti-man or whatever he's called? And others
I think it's
aren't.
His interaction with the crystals more so than the other ones get
too much.
Yeah, they get sucked up by the monster crystals, for whatever reason.
The crystal vacs protect him. He had the Pfizer. The other ones had the Moderna. Sorry.
Yeah, hey, I guess I'm Team Moderna. What else we got?
I don't know. This is like in the beginning of our review, I was like, this is probably going to be short, and I feel like whenever we do
you love it so much.
A review of that's mostly positive, it's like you find less things to goof on. Like I can't even really find, other than the outfits, which we sort of talked about.
Which are so bad. And the fact that some of them were like super deep V, like they were totally stretched out. Like on the controller, his was stretched. Here's
some
the
dudes
thing,
are
though,
hairier than others, so it's like
for the controller, it was a stretched out V because that guy is taking that suit on and off a lot. What I'm trying to say is this guy's got some action happening.
Yeah, something's going on in that.
It was
no women.
But it had the shoulder pads. Oh yeah, again with no women.
I was going to say just like last time. Someone had pointed out, whatever story we did last time, that there were no women other than Sarah Jane. Again, all dudes. One, and this time I did notice it mostly because last time I didn't, but someone pointed out, and sure enough, it's like, so that's the drawback to this error of Who, I think.
I don't understand why you wouldn't have women on. These are exploratory like it just doesn't make any sense. It feels so lazy to me. It almost feels like more work to make it all male than it would be to just cast widely for. I don't know. Yeah, it is very strange. I don't know if it's indicative of the era or.
Yeah, no, it's you know, that part sucks. But you know,
it does.
Can't go back in time.
No, we're going to do a fan version, a supercut of this, inserting
with puppets,
famous
puppets
women.
Instead
There's going to be a lot of, we can finally use our Helen Mirren puppet to put her to good use.
God, could you imagine
this one.
if we had a Helen Mirren puppet? Who doesn't love Helen Mirren in Excalibur? I mean, who? That's such a... You know what I'm talking about? You know the movie Excalibur?
I remember Excalibur. Of course I do, yeah.
So what do you got? You got anything else about the...
No, I think this is again. You're right, though. It is when the story is straightforward and there's not a whole lot to hate on. These are a little quick, but it's fun. It was a good story. Yeah, I don't know. Is it one of these things like am I going to come around to it later and be like, you know what, this is towards the top of my list? Maybe, but who cares? No one cares. No one's keeping track of my list, including me.
I liked it, and I got to say, I'll say props to Sarah Jane's ensemble. Great
the
outfit.
High-waisted, great, beautifully executed. All right, so that's what we thought about it, folks. As you may know,
More Strands. I couldn't remember what the name of the people. They're called More Strands, and they torture people they're like real big into their torture.
Real big into torture, these guys.
And the doctor has a gun in this. Like he takes that gun, and he's like holding the gun up, and he's like, "I'll be back." So he's a little bit of a badass in this, Tom Baker. You don't usually see the doctor with a gun ready to do some damage.
Was that a Beatles lyric? I think it was a Beatles. Okay, so that was our review of the story. We normally review this show on Sundays, but I'm, as you can probably tell from the audio quality, I am not in the normal place. So we had to do this on a Saturday, so you guys didn't get as much of a chance to give us your thoughts on this. But a couple people did on the Twitters. That's Twitter @TODW Show. Our friend Paul Paranoid says, very fond of Planet of Evil. This follows on directly from Terror of the Zygons, and the standard remains high throughout the entire season with only one lapse. It also made one of the best Target novel adaptations, the story elements lending themselves well to young imaginations.
I can see this being watching this as a pretty good novelization.
Watching the story, or even reading the novelization as a kid, this would be great. I could see. Misfit Scully says, Planet of Evil is great. I love the Zeta Minor forest sets. Agreed. This story is very Forbidden Planet on a BBC budget. I will editorialize and say, though, I don't think the budget showed in this one. I think they really...
Yeah, I thought that
like you said, the sets, the effects,
were so good. And they were like abstract concepts. Like it wasn't typical science fiction.
Like there was even like a detail. It's very strange. Like even when you see the exterior of the ship, you only see a portion of it, like where the soldiers come out and they go down a ladder, and the ladder is like uneven in its hand. Like it's just designed in a way that looks very striking.
Right.
And just for very simple moments that don't even need to be considered like that. Very well done. Continuing on, a couple of things in the episode 1. When Baldwin dies, just above his head on the floor is a mark in the shape of a head, probably left from rehearsals. I didn't notice that. So he probably had a very, very, very greasy head the previous time he set it down on the floor. Left a mark. Mr. Scully goes on to say, I always like to see the TARDIS ghost, in parentheses, the shadow of a production person walking past the set.
See, I missed that too.
I didn't notice that either. Defo, a fan of Planet of Evil, a Marks Holmes and Hinchcliffe classic. Tom and Liz are at their best. Totally agree there. Sat in front of the telly, eating sandwiches, watching Doctor Who, happy childhood memories. That sounds delightful. Again, yeah, this would be, if I was a kid, this would probably be the top of my... I'd be super excited about that. Our friend Paul Paranoid comes back to us and says again, this is a great episode for the sets. I think we said that too. The jungle is movie set level. It's my all-time favorite TARDIS set. Oh, actually, in the interior of the TARDIS, because we keep jumping around from era to era, they always strike me again whenever I notice them and whenever we see them. This is a very stark interior. The roundels inside the TARDIS and the control room are like the inset version of them. It's just, it feels very sparse, and I don't remember when that happens, but because we jump around so much, but it's fun to come back and see them and see how different they are from different eras. Anyway. This is his favorite TARDIS set. The spacecraft is decent too. Costumes are reminiscent of Forbidden Planet. There we got two.
I'm not that familiar with Forbidden Planet, other than knowing the concept of the robot and all that stuff. But I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Forbidden Planet.
I certainly
didn't see the Matt LeBlanc film. Didn't they do a Forbidden? Oh no, that was Lost in Space.
Lost in Space.
I don't know either of them.
Anyway, acknowledging his influence on the script, but sadly they're the least successful element. Good cast. Agreed. So, yeah, thank you guys for responding to us, even though, we asked you to tell us your thoughts much later than we normally would.
Anyway, we would have a day.
Having a whole extra day where you guys could let us know what you think, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. I think we're all going to be in agreement here. And, let us know after the fact. When you're listening to this, there will undoubtedly be a bunch of GIFs on our timeline that you guys can check out, and just let us know what you think there and have the conversation on the Twitters.
Yeah.
We can talk about that next time.
That's right, Dan.
What else we got, Eric? Eric, what else we got?
I just encourage people to go to realmofgoblin.com, Dan. And
why?
In
What's there?
To that TODW show on Instagram.
Sure,
although I don't post the Instagram, I was reaching out to people trying to figure out. I can't figure out this gift thing. It's a pain, right?
I will spend a little bit of time looking at that. There must be a repo or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
That I can.
We'll figure something out, right?
It doesn't matter.
Why can't Instagram just take gifts? Gifts are a big part of everyone's life.
That is a true fact. You could also check them out on theolddoctorwhoshow.com. You go to the episode page, you'll see all the gifts there, because I don't post them all on Twitters. I don't give it all away for free. I just give it away for free in a different place. So check that out there. Go to the show page. Go to the episode guide. You can see which ones we're doing next. And
yes,
Eric,
speaking of which,
what
do you know
are
which
we
one
doing
we're doing
next?
That's a good question, because as we are cycling through our doctors, we have passed Tom Baker, which means we have to go all the way back to Hartnell. So we are doing the Chase next.
The Chase.
So this is our the Chase. So I'm not sure anything about this other than it's Hartnell. I don't even know who the companions are. I don't know if it's an Ian and Barbara joint or if it's something else. So that's what we're doing next. So if you haven't seen the Chase, that's what we're doing. Doesn't it sound like we did the Chase before? That sounds familiar.
You know what? At some
of
point,
these names definitely blend in.
It is that Doctor Who episode name generator conundrum here. Yes. We can just kind of plop a couple of things together, and that could be it.
It's all the way back from season 2, so it's going to probably be the usual crew.
So, coming up here, just look at the ones we're going to be doing. We just did Planet of Evil. We're doing the Chase. Then we have the Time Monster, the Invisible Enemy, and the Time Meddler.
It's 6 episodes.
Invasion of the Night. It's going to be great.
It's 6.
It's going to be six speedy episodes. Okay. We'll just fly right through. You'll wish there were 12. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Feel free to email us at theolddoctorwhoshow@gmail.com if you have anything else you want to let us know about. I think we might still have some stickers left. If you want to send a self-addressed
we got plenty of stickers, self-addressed stamped
envelope. You can send that to the Old Doctor Who Show, Red Bank, New Jersey, P.O. Box 2131, Red Bank, New Jersey, 07701.
Like it.
In Red Bank, New Jersey.
Love it.
I know what I'm doing
invert
sometimes.
it a little. Invert the address.
It's fine.
Yeah, self-addressed stamped envelope.
If you hold it up to a mirror, it'll be in the right order.
2 stickers. I'll send you 2 stickers.
Whoa, one for you and one for a new fan that you have to get interested in the show. That'll be great.
Exactly.
All right, folks. Eric, I think we did it.
If you want more stickers, like if you, for some reason, maybe you own a record store or a comic store or whatever store and you want more, just put a note in there and I'll hook you up. Obviously, I don't want to give away all of our stickers, but we're flexible. So you'll get at least 2. If you need more, just let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, folks. You're all the best. Each and every one of you.
All right.
We're done?
That does it for this.
We did it.
This family.
What did we do? What was this?
Did that happen? I was not recording. Hey, this is Eric. I forgot to say that I will be appearing on the Creator Talks podcast, which is hosted by a listener of the show, Christopher Calloway. It's an excellent podcast, and I highly recommend it to fans of comics because he does a lot of really good interviews. And I have to do a lot of interviews, and he's one of the better interviewers that I've dealt with. So if you want to hear us talk, I think it should be live by the time you hear this. And we do talk a little bit about Doctor Who. Check it out. It's Crater Talks podcast, Christopher Calloway, and hit it up on your favorite podcast app.
You try to shake me down and then say it's all pretend, you know. I've been picking up waves. You got me switching through every frequency bound. You can make the world spin right around you. I'm the antimatter man. Antimatter man.
Where's my robot, you know?